have this icon that a client sent. I'm working on a pre-press for a brochure that I'm working on. You can see here I am in InDesign, and I have this icon that the client sent that they made in ChatGPT, so you can see once they told me to do the pre-flight and get this ready to go to press, that this is low res. So when I click on this, and I'm clicked on this with the direct select tool, not the selection tool. So you can either do two things. I have this placed in a circle within the file because this is a circle icon, and you can see there's a little trash that was left over from the maybe they made a screen grab of it or whatnot. So I'm just going to get right into it. I'm not going to explain the detail of what I'm doing as far as the pre-press, which I can do that at some other time, but you can see over here in my dialog box for the links that this is 72 dpi, so it's not acceptable to print. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate this. I'm going to recreate it in Illustrator. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say edit with Illustrator. I'm going to open this up in Illustrator, and you can see for sure that it's very pixelated. And one thing that I want to do is I always want to recreate it at the size I'm going to use it. And the reason why I start with that size is because it has the scalloped edges around the edge, and it has different, it has several different lines that are just strokes. And so if I had to scale this down, and you can see here I have this placed in at 2% inside that box. But overall, I'm going to click on the outside of the box, and it's a 1/2 inch is the size of actually what I'm using. So I'm going to build my file at a 1/2 inch. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that my artboard is set up to a 1/2 inch, so that I'm actually building this to size. I'm doing 0.5, 0.5, which is tiny. And then I'm going to bring this down actually to the size that I'm going to be creating it. Command 0 to fit to window. I'm going to zoom out and get this down to the size that I need it. I'm holding down Shift so that the so that it constrains the proportion and it doesn't stretch it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to CMYK because this is going to be printed. It's not going to be a web file, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the CMYK. The next thing that I'm going to do is, right out of the gate, I'm going to save it. I do not want to start working on this and then not be able to get halfway in and then lose the file. So the first thing I'm going to do is save it. All right, so I'm going to start with this outer edge. I'm going to use my ellipse tool. I'm holding down Shift at the same time that I'm dragging my circle. I'm going to make that into a stroke. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to eyedropper. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make this a different color so that I can see the color versus what I have on there. And I'm actually going to go ahead and lock this so that there's no way that it can move. I'm going to say object lock, but it's also Command 2 if you're using your key commands. So you can see that I drew the stroke to the size of the outer edge of this scallop. And you could do this with clip art if you wanted to go find it, but it's easier just to do it this way. That way that you're not having to dig around. I'm going to warp. No, I'm not going to do warp, actually. So sorry. Distort and transform. I'm going to do zigzag. I'm going to bring the size down to the lowest possible because it's so small. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to change this to relative. And then I'm going to change this to smooth. And then I'm going to bump up the ridges per segment until I get around what looks to be similar to what was on the original. This doesn't have to be perfect because I'm just recreating it. Just try to get that scalloped edge. So I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to bring this out just a little bit. And you can kind of see this is pretty close to the same shape and the same as what we've got going on there. But the difference is I've got this inside edge that I don't want. So I'm going to go ahead and Command X, which is going to cut that, and I'm going to add a layer on top. I'm going to do a paste in place, which is Command Shift V. or you could go edit, paste in place, which places on top, and then I'm going to lock down this top layer so that I'm not accidentally grabbing it, even though I've already locked it. I want it to be on another layer. So I'm going to go Object, Expand. I have to start, for some reason, Illustrator goes Expand Appearance, and that makes it from a rasterized, whatever that was, to it's actually a stroke. You can see now the different points on the stroke. And then I'm going to go one more time, Object Expand. And what that's going to do is, you can see here, if I switch this from stroke to fill, I'm going to bring that out just a little bit now that I look at that. So it's pretty close to what they had. I could have probably gotten a little bit closer, but we're going to go with this. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go Object, Expand, and what that does is I'm going to go Fill and Stroke, and then this is no longer going to be a stroke, it's going to be a solid object. So you see over here it changed over to Fill. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a whole another circle, because I want to wipe off the inside so that I just have the outside. All right, so I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to align the top, align the middle, and align horizontally and vertical. Then I'm going to go to my Pathfinder, and then I'm going to minus back or minus front, and then that's going to leave me with just the outer edge, and then I can just move on. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the inside stroke, and what I'm doing here is I'm holding down the Shift bar, and that helps me move around the selection. Then when I let off the shift, space bar, sorry, because I'm holding down Shift to make sure that it's an exact circle. And then when I want to move it around, I hold down the space bar. Same thing, I'm going to get this into position to where it matches the position of the other one. I'm going to turn that to stroke. So that gives me the stroke. And the reason why the layers are good, that way you can kind of turn it on and off and see what you have left.